let's bring on Stefan. Stefan, thank you so much for joining the program. And how you been doing?
Hi, Eric. Yeah, how am I doing? Well, not great, but that's life these days, right? The world has gone insane. Nothing works anymore. The dumbing down of America has succeeded fantastically. No one can find their butt with a flashlight and a map anymore. Nothing works. Constant internet and technical glitches. You probably going through the same thing. We all are. So yeah, things aren't that great.
You're a new guy there. He's like a arc technocrat too. What's that guy's name? Carney or something? Your new
Oh
guy?
God, he's evil
Yeah.
incarnate.
Well,
He's like Tony Blair evil.
it's like Trump Jr. Technocrats are surrounded by technocrats with I don't know, banking background and business background, all that kind of stuff. So
It's more
yeah,
proof of the saying that you can vote communism in, but you have to shoot your way out.
that's it. Oh well, I know you wanted to talk about the bugging out here for a second and a weapon of choice or firearm of choice, which you said might be controversial. I'm working through a book right now on it's called Suburban Survival or Suburban Defense by some ex-military, ex-cop person. It's like 350 pages long, and I've learned a little bit, defense and strategies of kind of like protecting your home or whatnot. And I just got through the section, and I'll talk more about this on my solo show here in a little bit
Oh
on
yeah.
night vision. On night vision, like when everything goes down and the power grid goes down or whatnot, especially people who are in cities, and I live in, I guess, somewhat of a city, and there's lights pretty much 24/7, whether it's light out or come 7 o'clock at night, most street lights are going on or whatnot. Are people ready for a consistent time period where it's just blackened, all the way through and through kind of thing? And so his whole topic on or coverage of night vision I thought was very, very important. Although the one thing it was like he really stresses like you really should have like the military grade kind of stuff, and he's like make sure you budget 3 to 6 thousand. I'm like, dude, no one's got 3 to 6 thousand to get that kind of stuff. Like I've got some of the like the best of the best from Amazon I got like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Spent like a couple $100, hundreds of dollars. Like the one I got, I think was like $600. It was marked down to like 200 or something. I'm
Yeah.
like, no one's got $5,000 to get military.
Yeah.
Military. I'm like, if you're dealing with that in the streets, you guys will just pack it in. You know what I mean? If they got like fish,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But in case I went rogue there a minute, but I'm going to talk about night vision a little bit more in my solo show. But in any case, what did you want to talk about today on the prepping side?
Well, first of all, I have good night vision myself. When I used to go on bike rides through the mountains, and I never used a headlight. I had one on me in case I needed it, but I always used my own vision. I have good night
Yeah,
vision.
yeah. Yeah, he
When I,
even talked about training your eyes. I mean, I guess maybe that's like a military thing too, or I guess if people who are more accustomed to being more active late at night. But yeah, he had like a whole chapter on like training your eyes.
that's
Actually, go out
it.
and like practice it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you start to develop those skills, and the other thing too is with night vision or training your eyes. Um, there's a technique called far seeing. It's a martial arts technique. And what you do is you use your peripheral vision, not the central vision, because the way the eyes are constructed, you pick up color and depth through your central focus. These are what you've heard on the retina of the eye. There are rods and then there are cones. And the cones are in the center of the retina, in the center of your focus. So that's for seeing detail and depth and color. The rods are on the periphery of your focus and on the periphery of the retina, and they are attuned to seeing movement, but they don't see color. They see black and white. So if you use your central focus to look at to see in the dark, it won't work very well because the cones aren't meant to pick up shadows and movement. They're designed to pick up detail and color. But if you use your peripheral vision, then you can see movement. So I use the same thing in sparring or fighting. I don't focus on my enemy. I actually look sideways at my enemy because I'm better able to see movement and I'm better able to detect what he's doing than looking directly at them. A lot of times,
That's
people,
interesting.
you've heard the
I wonder if
expression,
baseball player, people, I'm not, I've never like played baseball or whatnot, but they do say that's one of the hardest things to do in baseball, if not the hardest thing to do, is hit a baseball. I wonder if they use like similar kind of tactics, like almost looking at the side of your eye, with the baseball kind of coming in. I wonder if they go through like training exercises like that.
I
You know what I
don't
mean?
know. It's a good
Yeah,
question. I
yeah,
would,
yeah.
I would think they would have figured that out. But yeah, I used to the side of my eye, my peripheral vision, and you can also see in the dark better that way. I mean, I use this, a lot of times I've been up in the bush, canoeing into the interior, and you walk around in the dark there, and I mean, when you're up north in the bush, it is pitch black, right? You know what it's like. But I use my peripheral vision to look for bears, any kind of movement in the bushes. And that's what works. Instead of spending $6,000 on night vision,
Yeah, I almost lost it when I saw that. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Who's got 6 grand? People don't even have 6 grand to get a car these days.
no.
Who's gonna pay 6 grand for freaking night vision? But I mean, he did kind of circle back and was like, hey, I realize, a decent amount of people aren't gonna have that. I'm like, yeah, you could say that again. So he did, he just said, basically what I did. He just tried to get the best of the best of what you can get. And then he went into the chapter about training your eyes and kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
um
I would suggest doing that. Besides, you want to be fast and light and silent. Like I said, I'm old school. If I have to carry around plastic and batteries, don't ask me to do that. I don't want that. That doesn't
yeah,
work in
less is better, yeah, for sure.
in combat. It doesn't work in war. I don't know all these red dot systems. Please, you wouldn't
Right, right, right.
catch me dead with a red dot, for Christ's sakes. Just use the iron sights and learn how to shoot the goddamn gun without a red dot. You saw that guy, the Olympic shooter, there a couple of months ago. I think he was Greek or Spanish or something like that. And you seen all the other target shooters at the Olympics, and they had fancy sunglasses on, and they had special lenses on their pistols. And here comes this guy, and he wins. He wins the tournament, and all he's got is iron sights. This is like again Zen and the art of archery. This is a Zen technique. You train and you train and train until everything becomes second nature. And the famous story that Eugene Herrigo wrote in his book Zen and the Art of Archery is when he met up with his master, and the master was shooting at a target that was 50 yards away in pitch darkness. And the master would just pull the arrow back and shoot. Couldn't see the target. It's too dark. And when they went up to the target, son of a bitch was a bullseye. And he asked his master, how did you do it? And the master said, Mu Shin, Mu Shin. Mu Shin, and in Chinese it's called Wu Shin, means no mind, meaning you don't focus, you don't engage your intellect in doing this. You shoot from instinct. Your instinct is more accurate than you opening your eyes and looking through the red dots and all that. Fuck off with the red dot, honest to God. I want a piece of plastic on my handgun. No. And if you have to aim, use the iron sights, for Christ's sakes. I don't want this big plastic piece of battery-powered bullshit sticking out the top of my handgun. It's going to get caught and everything. It's going to break in 3 days. Anyways, don't get me started. Like I said, I'm old school. I mean, just get so proficient with your firearm that you can shoot from the hip without having to aim, without even having to look. Look at all the trick shooters from the old Wild West days. They throw up 6 coins and they pull out their 6-shooter and they hit all 6 coins tossed in the air. Did they aim? Did they get the red dot on each one of those coins? No, they shot from the hip and they hit those coins. Just get proficient with your firearm. Anyways, I'm sorry. I just went on a rant with you there, Eric. Anyways, folks, so sorry for going on a rant like that. I just, like old school means you're proficient in what you do and you don't need all these fancy tools for for everything. I look at Amazon and I see all the latest camping equipment and I'm going, Jesus, we never had any of that stuff when I was a Boy Scout, and yet we still survived. There's other ways of doing it. Anyway, so the question is, you have to bug out across town, get out of the city. You've got a heavy backpack. My bug out bag is about 60 pounds. It's heavy.
Oh
And
wow, that much.
yeah, yeah. Well, because you got food in there. The food and water
Hmm.
make up the most weight, right? And well, I'm going to bug out without water and food. Well, you're done. First thing you got to do is when you hit the road, is start looking for water. No, 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 no. You hit the road, you keep walking, you get out of town. So
Hmm.
let's say you only have one gun you can take with you.
And now a quick word from Stefan.
Spring is here, meaning we have 5 months to prepare for winter. This past winter was tough for most of us, but all indicators suggest next winter will be tougher. Now is the time to plan what you need to do to survive the winter. My prepping advice is personalized to your situation, where you live, your age, your family, what you have, and what you still need. I'll help you to prepare a step-by-step plan on how to get ready. To book a consultation, see the link in the description. Which gun would it be? Eric, which one gun would you take?
Oh man, see, I'm not an expert. I'm more newer to this space. I'm thinking now. I mean, what's the scenario again? We're walking through the woods, or we're just trying to like leave town.
Well, you
What?
might be walking through the woods, but you might be walking through town for the first couple of hours or first day or so, right? To
Right,
get
right,
out of
right, right.
town. And you're walking, not driving. If I was driving, okay, then I would take the 50 caliber machine gun. But
Right. Yeah, I was about to say. Well, I don't know because you're walking through the woods, and I guess if you're dealing with like mountain lions and cubs, I'm thinking you're probably not just going to have like a 22 or a 9. You're probably going to want a bigger caliber. But I mean, I guess if you might be a little bit different if you're just walking through town or whatnot. But
well, I did a
um,
lot of
uh,
mountain biking in the Sierra Nevadas in California. That was thick with mountain lions. I saw mountain lions every time I went out there, and I
mm,
didn't have any weapon, and they didn't bother me.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like, a matter of fact, yeah, it was like 3 chapters ago where this guy was talking about, this police officer, and he was covering through that. He was presenting the case that he prefers handguns over rifles, but in general. But what is your choice of weapon here? Curious to know.
Okay, because we're already using up a lot of time here, and I'm going to cut to the chase. Listen, my first instinct would be to grab my pump action shotgun, right?
Hmm.
I like a shotgun, very versatile, right? With slugs, you can kill bears. With goose shot, you can, take down fowl. I love a shotgun. I think it's the single most useful firearm.
Hmm.
But when you read the account of the Bosnian War, there's a guy online. His name is Selko. He
Yeah, I've seen his articles and his yeah. What was one of my guests used to. I don't know if they were interviewing him. I think it was Daisy Luther that was interviewing him on her platform. But yeah, he had quite a few articles that I posted back in the day.
yeah, he's great stuff. Look him up, Selco, Selco. He's got lots of articles online, and I agree with him. He lived through the Bosnian Civil War there. It was a complete shit hit the fan scenario. And what he said was that if you walked down the street and people could see you had a gun, it was over for you.
Right? Was that Sniper Alley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says because firearms is one of the things people wanted the most, and by people I mean gangs. Okay, because the
Mhm.
gangs controlled the city. So same thing's going to happen here when without
Right.
rule of
Hmm.
law,
Hmm.
um, and you want to go into town and buy from the black market some antibiotics or something. If you walk down into town and they can see you've got a gun, either they will kill you on the spot or they'll follow you home. More likely, they'll follow you home, thinking that
Hmm.
you probably got more guns in your house, and then they'll attack you in your house. And even if you've got, three or four of your buddies at home, they're going to bring 15 guys with rifles,
Hmm.
and they're going to do a home invasion. They'll kill you and your two buddies, and they'll steal all your supplies. And that's the way it was. So he said, you cannot allow people to see that you have a firearm. Even though I love a shotgun, you can't hide it.
Yeah.
And besides, a shotgun is really heavy. I'm already carrying a 60-pound backpack and then,
Yeah.
a 7-pound shotgun. And then shotgun shells are heavy. You can't carry that many. Am I going to carry 60 shotgun shells? I don't think so.
Mm.
Maybe. But
Yeah, I got some extra. I got some extra ammo this past year after doing some research on some people talking about the issue of trying to take down drones, and they said that's your best option is to have a shotgun and
yeah,
use buckshot and try to take it down that way as
yep,
opposed to yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So he recommended a handgun, Selco. And I recommend a handgun too, because first of all, you can conceal it. Most importantly, he said, if law enforcement or gangsters see you walking through the woods or walking down the street with a long rifle, you're attracting a lot of negative attention, and you can't hide those things. Mind you, I have figured out a way to hide my shotgun. I have a soft vinyl guitar case for my guitar, and
Oh, okay.
putting with the 18-inch barrel, my shotgun fits perfectly in my guitar case, and I loosen the zipper on the back. I can reach my hand in. I can shoot the shotgun through the guitar case.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Hmm. Yeah. No, I'm just thinking about it. I mean, I've seen so many post-apocalyptic zombie shows and movies or whatnot. And one of the more, I think, I don't know, like unrealistic things is like immediately when kind of like poop hits the fan in any city, you see like a whole lot of people kind of like working together. I'm like, that's not how it's going to be. That's not how like real life is. You know what I mean? It's going to be every man. It's going to be every man for himself. And like you said, if someone doesn't have a weapon, they're looking to get a weapon. Trust me, they're going to try to figure out how to get a weapon from you, type of thing. So that's why I
Yeah.
always, when you watch these shows, it's like, like maybe if you're deeper in, like maybe 3 years outside of like a post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse, and there's like a lot less people in the world, it might be a little bit more realistic for you to like try to walk down the street and go, 15 miles or whatever and try to get some antibiotics. But like right away, I'm like,
Right.
you're just a sitting duck. And this is what I've been telling my folks. I'm like, dude, you better start getting the stuff that you can get now. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Because it's going to be Black Friday every day here soon after the stock market crash. Like it's going to increasingly get, more violent and more, shady. But anyways, go back to you because we got a little bit of time left here.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the nature of our society. It would have been different maybe 80 years ago, but our society has been so corrupted with the media and the education system and everything else that the default personality type for most people now is narcissist psychopath. It's going to be every man for themselves, and there's going to be no rules. Even if it's one guy that wants your gun, all he has to do is secretly follow you, wait until you reach a spot where you got to go take a leak or a dump, and then while you're sitting there with your pants down,
No, seriously, yeah. Hmm.
run
Yep,
up
yep,
on you
yep.
with a baseball bat, and now he's got all your gear. I don't know. It's tricky. You got to, which is why
Situational awareness. Yep.
yeah,
Gotta be
situational
aware.
awareness is key.
Hmm.
And if it's at night, be able to see with your naked eyes instead of walking around with night vision scope strapped to your head all the time.
Yeah, I only got mine just like, I guess to kind of like peek out the house or whatnot. Yeah,
But
I would, I
no,
would, I would be.
to peek out the house, perfect. Yes.
Yeah,
To strap on a backpack, a 60, 80 pound backpack, and trying to get
right, right,
out of danger. No.
right,
So what gun would I take? I've got a couple of guns. Listen, a lot of people are going to reach for the AR-15,
right. Hmm.
thinking that they're going to hunt deer and all that kind of stuff too. But there's not going to be deer out there. There's not going to be deer. I've spent a lot of time in the woods. I have seen deer. Not every time I go in the woods. No, you could go
Right.
out in the woods and walk around for a week and not see a deer.
Mm.
And also, an interesting fact is that during the Great Depression, the 1930s, the deer population in the eastern United States almost went extinct.
It's like the first thing people eat, right?
Yeah, because everybody's out in the woods trying to hunt a deer.
Hmm.
And the deer population just dropped dramatically,
Hmm.
almost to the extinction level for deer in the eastern United States, because of all the hungry people out there trying to hunt deer.
Right.
So
Makes sense.
forget about your 308 or your SKS or anything like that. You're not going to come across any deer, okay? Maybe some people will be lucky enough to stumble across one, but most likely your chances of hunting deer is going to be slim to none. So any kind of long barrel, heavy caliber firearm is not going to work for you. That includes the shotgun. Yeah, you can take deer with a slug. I got a slug barrel on my shotgun, modified choke. But like I said, I've been in the woods a lot, and rarely do I see deer. I see deer more often when I'm sitting on the porch at the
Right.
picnic.
Right. At the least expected time, right?
Yeah, at the least
Yeah. Yeah.
expected time. Yeah.
The other thing too that I went back, again with some of this stuff, I got to get out there and practice more. But I did buy. This is many years ago. I mean, it's got to be like 5 years. 5 years ago, a pretty not like top of the line crossbow, but not like a crap one. You know what I mean? Kind of like middle of the line or
Hmm. Hmm.
a little bit better. So I went back and I was looking through the inventory of that, and I don't have enough arrows, so I got to purchase more of these carbon crossbows for it, which are pretty. I mean, they're pretty decently expensive, to be honest with you.
Holy shit, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
$1,200 easy.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
that's another thing too is well, I mean the crossbows are decently heavy though too. I mean that's not something you want to probably take on a distance. I'm just talking about like if you're trying to shoot something locally or something, deer or whatnot. But what about for like rabbits and squirrels? Can you take those out with like a little pellet gun or something?
sure you
Get
can.
yourself, yeah.
Sure you can.
Mhm.
And you know about dieseling.
No, what's that?
If you have a pellet gun, you need a pellet gun that is relatively rugged because the dieseling will eventually destroy the seals on the pellet gun. But what you do is you put a little bit of Vaseline in the cone on the end of the pellet. Now, what happens is that air pressure that the pellet gun emits to shoot the pellet will cause the Vaseline to explode, just like a diesel engine.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, and so now
Never
you
heard
got
that.
an extra like 300 feet per second.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh yeah,
I've never heard that before.
yeah. Look it up. Dieseling for a pellet gun, right? So you can
Huh.
take a pellet gun, preferably a 22 caliber pellet gun, and either you can do 3-in-1 oil or Vaseline or grease, and they put it at the inside the cone of the pellet, and then when you shoot it, that grease will explode.
Huh.
Yeah, because of the high pressure of the air,
Yeah.
and it will add an extra 200 to 400 feet per second. So
All
now
right.
it's almost like a 22 rifle.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that. It's a great trick.
it's a great trick. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, let me cut to the chase then. What gun would I take? I would take my Browning Buckmark 22 caliber pistol.
22, yeah.
Yep. Now, why? First of all, my Browning Buckmark, they're notoriously or infamously accurate. I got a 5.5 inch barrel. I got it good sights on it, adjustable for windage and elevation, fiber optic front sight, right? So you can see it even in a dim light.
Hmm.
I've got 3 magazines, 10 rounds each.
Okay.
And I've already experimented with this. Even though it's got a 5.5 inch barrel, I can stick it down my front of my pants and you won't see it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't show. Or I can stick it in my back, behind your back in your
Hmm.
pants, and you won't see it because it's very thin. I mean, it's still a fairly big handgun, but you can
Yeah,
stick
for
it.
22, yeah.
Yeah, and the other reason I like it is because if you want to stay in the fight, you need ammunition. Now, I can carry 250 rounds of 22 caliber ammunition.
Right, yeah, that's it, yeah. Yep,
Easy.
exactly. And they're cheap too.
And they're cheap.
Yep.
And there's no way I can carry 250 rounds of 9 millimeter. I mean,
Right.
I'm tempted to go for my Glock 17, you know, bigger
Hmm.
caliber, and but um, the extra
Well,
weight.
the other thing too, I was watching a funny bit by this comedian. He's got a little bit of a potty mouth, but his name's Bill Burr, and he was talking about buying a gun. He's got a funny segment on that, and he was just talking about how, like, if you got home invaded or whatnot.
I know the segment. I heard that one.
Have you heard it? Yeah, where he's got his 22, and he's like, at least he'll be able to shoot it. And if he hits someone, they're likely to just scramble or leave. They're not likely to keep kind of pressing forward. And he's talking about people who are 44 Magnum or 45 or whatnot, and they shoot and they kind of black out. Get the loud ringing in their ears, and they don't know where they are, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it makes sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I'm a lot of people bust people for having a 22 or carrying a 22 or whatnot, but I don't know, man. I've been watching a lot of true crime lately, and man, like, most of the shows, how they've been killed is through a 22. Now granted, it's been up close and personal kind of thing, not
Yeah.
necessarily from distance, but I mean, you put a couple in the chest or a couple on the head and it's over. I mean, if you get hit in the temple, you're done.
Oh, sure.
you
You get
know
hit in the head, you're done. Center
yeah,
chest, you're done.
yeah,
22 will go right through your
yeah.
breastbone, through your heart, and halfway out your spine.
Hmm.
It's nothing to sneeze at. And I do carry the best 22 ammo, CCI mini mags.
Yeah, I have that too.
Yeah,
I
they're
have
the most
CCI.
reliable, and
Hmm.
my Browning feeds everything, but I don't carry hollow points or anything like that. I just
Okay.
copper plated round nose, and but the CCI mini mags, they're very reliable. I've never had a misfire. Never had one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, no. I did have a couple of misfires when I bought like really cheap 22. A
All
dollar
right.
dollar
Mm.
57 for 50.
Yeah, a 2.2, not a 22. Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
cheap stuff. Yeah, I mean, but it's cheap enough. Even the upper echelon stuff is not. I mean, comparison to the other
Oh,
ammos,
even
like,
the upper
very
echelon
cheap.
is cheap as hell.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Hmm.
CCI mini mag. So now you're paying like, okay, $5 for a box of 50. So what? I
Hmm.
paid 25
Exactly.
bucks for a box of 50 9 millimeter. So it's like 5 times more expensive
Mm.
for the 9 millimeter. And so now I've got tons of ammo, and it's light. And again, the other thing too is the weight. The weight of a shotgun, and shotgun shells, the weight of a
Yeah.
Glock 17 with
Hmm.
equivalent rounds of 9 millimeter. You got to carry this. And
Mm.
as you know, I hope all your listeners have practiced bugging out. Strap on a 60-pound backpack and start walking out your town and
Right.
through the woods,
Right.
and see how
Hmm.
far you get before you go, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
I mean,
I
the bag that I just put together, it might even be more than 60 pounds. I thought to myself, man, I think I got to unload some stuff
oh
because I'm
yeah,
not.
no, I learned that lesson a long time ago when I was 15. and first started going out in the woods by myself, and I need 3 pairs of jeans, and no,
Right, right. TV guide. Yeah, no, no, I'm
I
just
need
kidding.
some books.
Oh man.
A
Well,
little
no,
bit.
I'm right. I'm there with you though. 20, and like I said, man, a lot of people make fun of the 22 and 22 rounds, but it gets the job done.
I don't know if it's true, but I've read that the 22 caliber kills more people than any other caliber.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. It'd be either that or a 9, you would think. But yeah, 22. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of true crime lately. My goodness, it's like 4 out of every 5, people have been killed. It's like through a 22, and it's usually like up close and personal, where the person didn't necessarily see it coming per se. But a lot of people seem to think, well, you gotta hit them 7 or 8 times before it goes down. I'm like, I don't think so. Not based upon what I've been seeing. You know what I mean? And reading and watching.
Yeah. And there's the factor it's, oh shit, I've been shot, plays into it. Because a lot of times the reason you want to shoot somebody is to stop their activities, to deter them. And
Right.
so, person gets shot, they're not going to go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, that was only a 22. I'm going to keep on attacking.
Right. That's it.
No.
Puts them into flight or fright mode immediately. Like they're
Exactly.
immediately adrenaline's rushing. Okay, like typically that the human nature is to fly, to flight. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the final factor is hunting. So people say, well, I got to get a 308 or M1 carbine or whatever, so I can hunt deer. Well, like I said, probably you're not going to hunt deer. Within a couple of weeks, most of the deer in your area is going to be gone anyways.
Mm.
And but from my experience, walking through the woods, what kind of meat are you going to come across? Squirrels, porcupines,
Rabbits, squirrels, yeah,
groundhogs,
turtle in the lake, little turtle
turtles
soup.
in the lake. Yeah, that's probably the kind of game you're going to be able to come across for food source, and you can easily take that with a 22. And
Yeah.
we also know that poachers poach deer with a 22.
Mm.
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's not ethical. You shouldn't shoot deer with a 22 because the chances of you killing it instantly, which would be humane, is rare.
Very low. Yeah, very low.
But poachers don't care,
Mm.
So they'll wound the deer and then hunt it down and then finish it off or whatever. And then finally, the other thing, what you mentioned with the Bill Burr story, have you ever gone to the gun range without hearing protection, and the guy next to you is shooting a 357 Magnum?
Right.
Forget about it. I mean, your ears are ringing for 2 days.
That's why you got to go to sleep with your athletic shoes on. You got to have your earpieces in and your earmuffs on and your goggles on, right?
Yeah.
Before you go to bed. Then you wake up and you're ready to go.
Yeah. Listen, a 22 is loud enough already, but at least it's not going to rattle your brains.
Right.
And also, it's not so loud that everybody within 10 miles knows where you are.
Sure. And in most places, if I'm not mistaken, I think down here in the States, most, well, I don't want to say most states because that would probably be inaccurate, but I know in some states, silencers are illegal. I'm pretty sure it's legal here in Ohio. Although, like you said, when you hit WROL, it's not going to matter, but I don't know where you could even legally get a silencer in my state, to be honest with you.
Just improvise.
Okay.
You can make your own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You'll have to tell us about that on the next show because we're just about out of time. You can tell us how to
Okay, Eric.
make it sense.
Well, that's all. So those are the advantages: stealth, lightness, easy to carry. You can carry more ammunition. You can still hunt with it, and you can use it for self-defense. And it's quieter. So those are all the advantages of a 22 pistol. A Ruger Mark IV is another good choice. I got the Browning Buck Mark because it looks a lot like a Luger, and I like a Luger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got
That's my choice. If I had to get up and run out the door right now, I'm taking the 22 caliber pistol.
Nice.
All
right. Mm-hmm.
I will cry for my 12 gauge, but anyways.
Oh, cry for 12. Well, we appreciate
Absolutely.
the time as always, Stefan. We're gonna wrap it up here. Let's do some shameless self promotion time. What you got promoting this month?
Well, just go to my website, chinastrategies.com, and download the survival library. Over 320 books on all this stuff. And in PDF form, loaded up to a flash drive. And then when shit hits the fan, you can read all those books on a little lightweight tablet. And you can recharge the tablet using one of those portable solar panels.
Mm.
All of which is very light, very small, easy to pack into your backpack, and now you have all the manuals, the knowledge to survive anything. So the survival library at chinastrategies.com.
Good stuff. There you have it, folks. The latest from Stefan. And listen, we got to get a solo show in. I'm going to be doing a 9 p.m. live stream show tonight. We're going to have some fun. That's going to be a spicy one. Do join us in the live chat. Until next time, my good friends, stay safe. You know us.